Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Tuesday, November 22nd. This will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you're somebody that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used as a tool to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. Real quick, a couple of clarification points. Number one, the price you see over here will be changing, moving around, and the candlestick you see right there will also be changing, moving around. That is because the market's still open for a small amount of time, but I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. And then second, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame, meaning each one of these candlesticks here represents 30 minutes worth of time. So stock number one here, MMAT, very, very big move today. Big price movement, and then of course you look down here and you can see well above average volume on the day. So definitely a lot of eyeballs going to be watching this one here moving forward. So let's get some key levels mapped out. First key level from more of a support standpoint. So if you like to play pullbacks, very interesting level down here around that $2 mark. Not saying it will pull down to $2 or pull back to $2, but if it does, that was the former breakout point. So I could, realistically see it finding some buyers down there around that $2 mark. So keep an eye on that. And then as far as levels of resistance are concerned, pretty straightforward here. Just a question of where did the party and momentum stop today? And that was essentially right up there at $2.25. So keep an eye on that if the price does recover back upwards. But all in all, just to squeeze this down, you can see that the price is still within a very, very big long-term uptrend. So that's why I say even if the price does pull back to $2, by no means does that mean the end of the world, because, if you think about it, if that's the low and you compare it to that low and that low and that low, and you get the idea, and then if you envision those as stair steps, overall, the big picture trend would still very much so be in an upwards direction. Next one, COSM, and a very, very nice pattern here. And let me be very clear as I talk about this, by no means am I trying to, want to make sure I wasn't missing anything there, but no means am I trying to make sure that this is some sort of great discovery or that this is some sort of special talent. I assure you a lot of people have drawn that line up there at 19 cents. And I say all that because when a lot of people are watching the same level, wondering the same thing, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want, it can produce some very dynamic movements. So no such thing as a guarantee, but is it plausible? Is it valid to think that the price can come up to that level and then get a break up through it, that break in and of itself could create additional buying pressure? That is certainly a valid thought process to have. So keep an eye on that right there at the 19-cent mark. Again, you got to think that if the price can break through there, that could very well create additional buying pressure, especially when you factor in that, and this is kind of a bootleg drawing, but just generally speaking, you have this wedge pattern here that's forming, and you can see that candle still bouncing around right below 19 cents. So can 19 cents be broken? If you're somebody that likes to play penny stocks, then this is definitely one that I'd keep an eye on. Next, SOFI, which has been getting absolutely destroyed, including today. But what makes this interesting is twofold. First off, I'm not going to call it a super, super popular stock, but it is a relatively popular stock. And then you combine that with the fact that it has been beat down in such a pretty intense fashion. This has been a very, very severe downwards channel. So those are the two things. And then what makes this interesting now with those two bits of overall context is notice how the price has started to go sideways. Now, let me be very clear, and I wish I could say trading was this easy. Just because the price got beat down and it's now started to go sideways does not mean that for sure guaranteed this is the bottom and for sure guaranteed this thing's going to skyrocket back upwards. But does it become plausible? Does it become at least halfway realistic that, okay, maybe this is some sort of bottom? Case in point, let's say this was still just sinking, and then I'm sitting here saying, hey, it's looking like this could be a bottom. You'd be totally justified to say, what are you talking about? Based on what? The price is just dropping straight down. But that's not the case here, right? It has at least started to go sideways. So again, does that mean that this is some sort of bottom? No, but does it mean that it's at least plausible to think that there could be some sort of bounce coming? Absolutely. So if you like to play this price range, and if you like to play stocks that are potentially bottoming out, keep an eye on this one. Next one, AMC, and I'm just going to go ahead and draw a pattern because in my mind, this is by far the easiest way to kind of envision all this and what I think most other people are watching. So we have our trend line right there. We have that trend line right there. Let me change that to green to represent more so a bullish attribute as support. And then to make this all one color to maybe make it easier to see, we have our resistance, we have our support, we have the big move up there. Let's put our golf hole down here to make it that much more visual. And for you golfers, what we have here is a bull pennant pattern. So it does bring about the whole talking point, once again, of self-fulfilling prophecies. We're guaranteed no, but is it plausible to think the price can come up to that area and get the break, that break could cause quite a bit of upside buying pressure? Absolutely. But the flip side is also true. Is it, rational to think that if the price comes down here and, fails to the downside of the pattern, that break could create bearish selling pressure? Yeah, that's absolutely, the other side of the equation there. But there's no doubt about it. A very well-defined pattern here. Got to think a lot of people are watching it. So let's see how it ultimately breaks. Next one, SHC, and I like this because we have sort of like SOFI in terms of, okay, is this some sort of bottom? But a little bit different of a situation here, because with SOFI, that has just been in a flat-out downtrend, where this one has actually a strong day. Big gap up, big opening 30 minutes via that green candle here, and then, yes, has pulled back. So, as it pulls back and drops and drops and drops, it is a valid question to be saying, uh-oh, is this the start of something, worse? Was this just one of these one-day wonders? And we got our answer, and as of now, no, because the price has finally started to go sideways. As I mentioned, just because it's gone sideways does not mean that it's for sure going to go back up. But at least you can alleviate the worry of, uh-oh, is this just, was these one of these pump and dumps where it goes up and then comes straight back down? No, seemingly not, because it at least has started to go sideways. So from that angle, key level of support going to be right there at $7.90. Then in my mind, that key breakout point, if there's going to be any sort of potential at a bigger move back to the upside, right there at $8.35. So yeah, interesting dynamic here, like SOFI, but I would argue probably a bit better because this one's got more of a bullish context, where SOFI has that bearish trend. Real quickly, wanted to pause and personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online training that I'm offering here in several days. So if you've been enjoying what you've seen and you want to learn more about this tool, how it can and should be used as a trader to help build consistency, then definitely get signed up for the free live training. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down in the description box. If you're watching at my site, then there's an area right there on the webpage that you can click to get signed up. So like I said, if you've been enjoying what you've seen, then definitely get signed up for the free training. Next one here, PLTR, and SOFI, a very, very popular stock, and one that has just been, just absolutely destroyed. Look at this trend line. Look how steep that trend line is, and then wouldn't you know it, look right where the price is currently battling, right at that trend line, which does make for an interesting situation, and that's what a watch list is all about, to find unique, to find interesting situations, and not randomly rush out and buy anything, but to watch and see what happens. And like I said, for a stock to have such a nasty trend line and now to be battling, there is the very valid, very interesting question of, hey, can the price break through it? And if it does, will that create some sort of, I'm not going to use the word reversal, but some sort of bigger move to the upside, which from a trading standpoint could still yield some potential profitable opportunities? Maybe, but to be fair, maybe the trend line just holds strong once again and, back down the price we will go. That's just as valid, but that doesn't take away from the underlying dynamic here that, yeah, the price is at this trend line. That trend line is a very significant level, so it presents a very intriguing and interesting situation. So yeah, keep an eye on that trend line there. As far as supports are concerned, next key level of support is from these previous lows down here around the 688 mark, although I will say that as of now, there does seem to be a little miniature area of support right there that's held. Will it continue to hold? That remains a big question. But yeah, in my mind, at least, the most interesting dynamic here is all about that trend line, and let's see if the price can get the break of it or not. Next one here, MARA, and another one that's just been getting absolutely destroyed. So from a couple different angles, you could look at this. You could put that trend line into play right there, which illustrates it. But the crazy part is you could even put this trend line into play, which is that much steeper, and yet the price is still down below both of them. So I don't want to say this one's going straight down, because it's not literally going straight down, but it seems as though it's about as close to going straight down as possible. Again, this is one of these crypto stocks, and with crypto stocks, high risk, high reward. But the fact of the matter is, MARA, very popular within the world of crypto stocks, so you got to think that all sorts of people are watching it and waiting just for any sort of news, even if it's just kind of bad news, just to be able to buy this thing, which from a trading standpoint could very realistically create some nice upside movement here, which, can, again, from a trading standpoint might be enough. So I'm not saying that the price is going to reverse all the way up to $10, but as a trader, you don't need it to go all the way back up there to make money. You can just get, more so minor movements and still have it worth your time. So once again, along the whole idea of pretty popular stock getting absolutely beat down, is it going to start to show some signs of bottoming out and bouncing? Worth keeping an eye on. Next one, TSLA Tesla, and the bottom just continues to go lower and lower here. Pretty crazy to think you had that nice bounce and then a complete rollover. And as somebody that watches and trades Tesla quite a bit, all this has me very fascinated. Traded it today. Not very well. Made money from it, but regardless, point being, I will definitely be watching it once again here on Tuesday. So the main dynamic here is you have the trend line, and once again, like these other stocks, a relatively steep trend line. So I'm very curious what happens if the price can break up above the $169 mark. That'll be the main breakout point that I'll be keeping an eye on. And then as far as supports are concerned, I mean, essentially in free fall mode right now, because it has been months upon months upon months since the price has last been down in this area, as you can see here. So one of those situations where you kind of just got to use your gut instincts a bit because there's not a whole lot of data. There's not a glaringly obvious area of, okay, that could potentially be an area of support. Nothing like that right now. But in my mind, more so waiting for any sort of confirmation that maybe some strength wants to show up, which circles back, okay, well, what sort of confirmation? That's why I have that trend line right there. I mean, if the price can break back above there, then okay, at that point, it becomes a little bit more rational. Just think, okay, maybe some sort of strength has returned. But until that happens, you got to be very leery about this one, at least from a long point of view. Next one, AMZN, which is a bit different than some of these other stocks because those other ones were getting beat down and they were continuing to go down, where Amazon here has actually got a bit of an upwards channel to it. However, there is a but with this, and the but is, well, what was happening before the upwards channel? Well, you had this big move down right here, which has actually created a bear flag pattern. Now, just because there's a bullish pattern out there does not mean that the price is automatically going to go up. Just like if there's a bearish pattern does not mean that the price is ultimately going to go down. I just say all this because you don't want to get overly excited because, yeah, again, to give credit's due, nice upwards channel, but you got to factor in the overall context, which when you do that, creates that bear flag pattern. Does the bear flag, can it continue to grind higher and higher? Absolutely. I'm just saying that there's still a whole lot more work that needs to be done, which brings, okay, Clay, fair enough, but what do you mean by work needs to be done? That does seem to be an empty word. And it is until now, which is why I love charts, because they allow you to take words and then make them very visual. So my definition of quote-unquote more work that needs to be done is check out the pink line here, the 200 paired moving average, and look how this thing has been just an absolute thorn in the side of the price, including today, opening 30 minutes, rejected right off that level. So if the price can get above that level and prove that it can stay above it, that doesn't mean that everything is solved, but that would be a very good step in the right direction of showing, okay, some worthwhile work has been accomplished. So keep an eye on that 200 paired moving average, and let's see how the week continues to play out. Next one, TQQQ, which is an ETF that allows you to make money if you think that the NASDAQ market is going to rise. In fact, it's the most popular ETF out there, always is getting the most volume. And this first part will make more sense to those of you that have watched past videos, but you know that I put in that trend line several days ago, and it just continues to prove to be a very, very important level. Today, the price fell, tried to get above it late day on Friday, failed, came back below, and then you can see today, just spent the entire day down below it. But the price is, once again, getting relatively close to that level, which, as I talked about earlier, creates an interesting situation, which is what a watch list is all about. And that's really going to be the big question mark, at least in my mind moving forward, is, well, two of them. But the first main question is, can the price hold, or can the price break above that trend line and hold above it? But the other question is, well, what about this area of support back here, which, once again, is seemingly coming within striking distance here at $20.90, which, going back to the history of things, you can see has behaved as support there, right there, and then even earlier mid-afternoon, right there, got relatively close. So a couple of very, very key levels, because you got to think if it breaks to the upside, self-fulfilling prophecy could create good, solid upwards momentum. But on the flip side, if it breaks to the downside, you would think that bare minimum, the price goes down there and at least tests the 200 period moving average valued at 2041. So yes, some very dynamic movements here going on, very interesting situation. And I think Tuesday is going to grab your popcorn. That's all I'll say. So that wraps up the top 10. Again, if you like what you saw here, then I want you to get signed up for the free training. Like I said, it'll be several days, Thursday, December 1st at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So I hope to see you there. As far as these top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy this format, do two things for me. Hit that like button, leave a simple comment below, even if it's just saying hi or tell me what you traded today. Tell me what you're watching for tomorrow. So thank you for hanging out. Take care and definitely get signed up for the free training.